Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our spoiler-free review for the Netflix original film, Nimona. Something, 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 we win. Hey, it's Nate, and if you're joining us for the first time, we are Geekcentric, a podcast celebrating the world of movies, TV shows, toys, collectibles, gaming, and all things geek-centric. This is our spoiler-free review for the Netflix original film, Nimona. Special thanks, as always, to our friends at Netflix Canada for inviting us to see the film, but also allowing us to attend a really wonderful event where we got to screen the movie and then also get to talk to Ted T, the lead animator from DNEG Studios. It was just such a lovely time. But listen, joining me for this spoiler-free review, we've got the jaunty jackalope jester, who's now a jaguar. His name's Justin.
Hello. Cool like a jaguar. Yeah, I like
but
it.
Also a jackalope at times, Justin. I feel
a jackalope is pretty
beast.
Fitting. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
a mythical beast. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Shifting right beside him, we've got Darcy, the dancy, delightful dolphin.
Why a dolphin?
I'd rather be a dragon. Literally, he's got the smoke coming out of his mouth right now. I'm like,
and then
I
you
missed
went
it.
with one of the most rapey sea creatures out there.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, that's all I associate with dolphins with now, and I never want to swim with them again.
Oh, poor dolphins. And she's been making moolah to get married, which means she's been missing, but she's not a monster. She's Megan, the mighty magical moose.
Yes, I'm so happy. Oh, a moose. I like the moose. Canadian, sure. I'm
Right?
happy to be back. I feel like I haven't talked to you guys in a while, so I'm excited to talk about this specific movie.
Absolutely. Before we get into things, we kind of this whole experience with Nimona we've sort of tackled as a big team here, and kind of done different things. There's some really exciting stuff that we're going to tell you that Justin's done near the end of the podcast. But Megan, Darcy, and I, we had the opportunity to attend at the TIFF Bell Lightbox, a screening for this movie, and got to talk to Ted T and kind of learn a little bit more about the ins and outs of the animation behind Nimona. And we kind of snuck into a secret after party somehow. I don't even know how it happened. But they were so lovely and so kind to sort of just let us ask a few more questions. It was a lovely time. Did you guys have fun?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Great time.
an absolute blast. I mean, it was a little awkward because, we weren't supposed to be there, but it was pretty cool.
You were supposed to be there. They invited you. We were supposed to be there. Even if, look, we're talking about it right now. So that's the beauty of it. So I'm so glad you guys were able to actually go, because it sounds really cool, especially having someone who is a key influence in the animation side of this movie to help bring it to life. And boy, has this movie been on a journey. So for it to actually see the light of day is a true testament to the creatives that have steered the ship and said, this has to be seen and has to be made.
Oh my God,
So, yeah,
Absolutely. Sure. So let's get to the synopsis if you don't already know what Nimona is. When Ballister Boldheart, a knight in a futuristic medieval world, is framed for a crime he didn't commit, the only one who can help him prove his innocence is Nimona, a mischievous teen with a taste for mayhem, who also happens to be a shape-shifting creature Ballister has been trained to destroy. But with the entire kingdom out to get him, Nimona's the best, or technically the only sidekick Ballister can hope for. And as for the lines between heroes, villains, and monsters, and as the lines between heroes, villains, and monsters start to blur, the two of them set out to wreak serious havoc for Ballister to clear his name once and for all, and for Nimona to just wreak serious havoc. Directed by Nick Bruno and Troy Quayne, Nimona is an epic tale about finding friendship in the most surprising situations and accepting yourself and others for who they are. Based on the National Book Award-nominated New York Times best-selling graphic novel by N.D. Stevenson. The movie stars Chloe Grace Moretz, Riz Ahmed, Eugene Lee Yang, Francis Conroy, Lorraine Toussaint, India Moore, Julio Torres, Beck Bennett, RuPaul Charles, Sarah Sherman, and is now playing in select cinemas and will be streaming on Netflix June 30th. So we're gonna tackle this the way we always do, with what worked and what didn't, and I really feel like we're gonna take quite a bit of time in the what worked category with this movie, just based off of when we went to go see it and we're all buzzing, and Justin's been buzzing since April on this.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, like you were saying, Nate, we've all kind of divided and conquered with covering Nimona. And back in April, while you guys were at Star Wars Celebration, Netflix Canada actually invited us out, but I was the only one that could attend a special presentation, which included watching this movie, and the presentation revolved around up and coming animated features and series that were going to be hitting Netflix between 2023 and 2024. So like you're saying, I've been itching to talk about it. I'm so glad you guys have finally seen this movie and you know what's great about it. I'm stoked. I'm so stoked. I'm excited, man.
He's jumping like a jackalope over here. I mean, this is an 11-year-old story that has the movie, which Ted informed us, took 8 years to get made, and thank goodness it did. It went through production hell, basically. But no, I think honestly the first place that I'd like to start off is with talking about. I think it's an animated movie. The visuals, I think, for me, the setting was pretty fantastic and pretty fresh as well. I love that it's both set in the future and in medieval times at the same time. There was a moment where I leaned over to Megan and I'm like, their hover bikes are shaped like horses for no reason. It was so funny. And I love that the future setting sort of helps ground the movie in our reality, but then the medieval setting helps ground the story in a setting that's stuck in tradition, which is really important for this story. And it really helps to kind of push kind of our antagonist, if you will, throughout the movie.
Yeah, the world building feels very intentional for those exact reasons of showing you what's possible in the future while also showing you how people can be stuck in the past. And I think that's all intentional, and probably why Andy Stevenson based it in that world. But to your point, like the world comes alive, man. Like, it is so crazy to see. I remember watching it and just thinking, like, I don't think I can think of anything that's in animated that's been medieval and live action, or at least this committed to that, that is trying to make a sense of it actually being practical. Like, I get it. Like, yes, a hoverboard that looks like a horse, but it just makes sense. But they're not necessarily overly comical about it. At times it does kind of hit, but it's not purposeful. There's actual like commitment to that. Even just the way the structure of the the queen and all the different parts and the knights and what their importance are, it all still fits, and it serves to inform the larger narrative.
Absolutely.
And this is where my like animation side of things comes in. The shape language that they used throughout this movie was beautiful, hinting at the contrast of like angular shapes and like rounded shapes, where usually more angular shapes tend to give off a villainous vibe, and the circular, rounded, curved shapes are, welcoming and warm. And the way they use shape language specifically for characters, but also for the landscape and for the technological aspects of the movie, was really evident, but also flowed so well that you wouldn't really notice it if you didn't have that already at the forefront of your head. But a contrast of shape language with Nimona, I thought, specifically as a character, was really, really amazing to see, because she had a lot of angular aspects to her, but then had a rounded, shaped body, but then was like, it was that whole a little anti, a little hero. It was the perfect combination of the two.
Yeah, that was entirely by design, I think purposely, because it's literally to show what does a hero, what does a villain look like? You know what I mean? I think that's all meaningful. I also love the use of colors though too, right? Like, obviously, there's a lot of pink used with Nimona, but there's moments where, you know, the colors are really, really vibrant. Like, you can see that the in this movie, she will add vibrancy and color to a scene, but she'll also remove it. And it's based on her emotions and based on what she's feeling. And I think it's so insightful and thoughtful, as you can see, as to how they infused little elements that really do highlight the importance of her character throughout. So yeah, I think that, with that, color and shape definitely are such a huge part of bringing this world to life.
Well, even down to the eyes, there was a really cool moment during the chat afterwards with Ted where he spoke about the fact that, like, I believe it's Ballister has more square shape in his eyes for to clarify, the little reflection in the eyes that light makes, whereas Nimona is more of a triangle. And it's one of those things where, like, again, even just from a standpoint of animation, getting to watch this movie again from a narrative standpoint, it would be a great time for the jokes and everything, and the beautiful heart moving story. But also, I think to kind of catch those animation details is really, really cool, and especially how Nimona shapeshifts is just really, really, really well done.
Yeah.
And that was one of my favorite parts to listen to as a student of animation, listening to a very seasoned animator talk about how they modeled her character to shapeshift and the ability to do that and make it seamless, but still feasible for them on that animation side of things. It's so much technology and work goes into just a regular animated movie. So when you add aspects that make it more difficult for the animators, it's so amazing to see that work. And I think, again, Nate, I mean, you snuck us in there, but it was really cool to be able to tell those animators that they did a fantastic job on this movie that's been in the works for a very long time.
Absolutely. And I think even from a standpoint of animation, like, I think this movie succeeds in animation, not necessarily from a technical standpoint, but just from a standpoint of, like, how well the characters' faces are animated. And I know, Darcy, you would notice about Nimona's eyes and the way that, like, when she would get angry, like, kind of what happened there.
Yeah, like the depending on the lighting in the scene, sometimes her eyes would pop out more in the shadows and stuff like that and really reflect what's going on around. And I think one of my favorite standout points in terms of animation was the character design and the fact that they weren't afraid to lead into that cartoony aspect where there are times where they're stretching in surprise, or like their eyes go far wider than they should be. And again, that lends itself to so much because it's not bound by these rigid aspects of character design. They're like, we can have fun with it. We can stretch them out to, elevate these emotions or these jokes that we're trying to get across. And I loved it. The character design was incredible. The whole thing looked so good.
Yeah.
I think the animation is just a testament to the confidence that this movie has. It's confident in its look. It's confident in the world that it's building. And like to the point that you're saying, it's confident in being able to bring in those references from other animated style genre movies to help tell its story and to help bring something new. Because I think, again, we may look at it and say, oh, this feels very like anime in some points, or this might have a very Disney-esque sort of vibe to it that's parodying it. It all comes together to, again, inform the larger story and just help inform the idea that they are confidently telling this story. There is no lingering between it. I think that it very much owns its look. It owns its look and it owns its design, and it looks so good. You can only imagine what it looked like on the big screen, because I have watched it only as a screener. So, on the big screen, I can imagine that it was pretty outstanding.
Yeah, and I just want to give a little shout out to the animation studios that worked on this.
Yes.
Obviously, we have Annapurna and DNEG Studios working on the final piece that we saw, but there's an animation studio that I'm sure everybody's heard of called Blue Sky that went under a year ago or 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was during the acquisition of 20th Century Fox.
It was
Yeah.
during
Because
COVID,
they were
actually.
under. Yeah, was it during COVID?
Yeah, COVID was
Okay.
what caused them to be shut down. Yeah.
And they've produced so many fantastic animated movies that we don't even realize was Blue Sky. And one of the things that moved me a lot was in the credits at the end, they put every single team member from Blue Sky in the credits. And that was just such a beautiful way to honor the people who got this movie going.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I think with a movie that is so specific in talking about, being your true authentic self, I think it's important that it does recognize every single person that it came from.
Yep.
Yeah. I think kind of transitioning here to another strength that this movie has, and what I think really worked is exactly what you were saying. I think it's the message. I think this movie encourages viewers to sort of, as you said, Nate, embrace their true self, like just be who they are, even if that means defying expectations or what people think is normal. It's it highlights the importance of individuality, self-acceptance, but like also just the idea of questioning things when you know they're not right. Do you know what I mean? Like when you know that it's not right, to actually challenge that. So I think all of this is very relevant in today's world. People are constantly seeking some form of validation, and they're struggling, and a lot of people are struggling with societal pressure. So I think this is all captured really, really well through the world, but also through the characters. Like and the three characters I'm thinking of are obviously Nimona, Ballister, and Ambrosius. I think that the three of them are very much a representation of all of that messaging in different ways. And you see how they all influence each other and their own personal journey through this story. So I think that is another huge strength that is to be celebrated, and probably the biggest reason why this movie needed to be made.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, and I think to that point, the voice cast is phenomenal in this movie. I think Chloe Grace Moretz, like, just Nimona is so immediately charming,
lovable,
so immediately charming, so lovable, so funny. This movie is so funny, and I would probably say like 90% of that is Nimona and through Chloe's performance. I think with Riz, you get a really sort of, again, this is kind of his second time, I believe, doing this stuff, doing voice acting, and the fact that he's so comfortable in it. I thought he was fantastic. And then just Eugene Lee Yang, which was such a surprising thing to sort of be like, from the Try Guys, like Eugene is in this movie, but also absolutely Eugene is in this movie. And I love the sort of the behind the scenes that Ambrosius was sort of designed, I guess, based off of.
They switched
Eugene.
amongst the production.
That's so cool.
They decided to base the character look off of Eugene. But I think the main thing that all three of these characters bring to their voice performances is authenticity. There is a sense of real in them. Like in Riz Ahmed's Ballister, he is so conflicted, and you hear it in his voice. He lacks a sense of confidence, even as a knight, right? Whereas then Eugene has a strong sense of confidence because it's forced on him. And then you have someone like Nimona, who's the mayhem, the crazy, the wackiness, and she ties it all together. She brings in the humor, she brings in the crazy. I loved that we really get to see multiple sides of her in this movie. Over the top, in your face, and then heartbreakingly honest and beautiful, sincere moments. And that range that she brought to Nimona and the voice, stunning. It was absolutely great.
Yeah, I want to give a quick shout out as well to Beck Bennett, who plays Todd. Or Todius is his full name, by the way. It's so funny. I think it's not easy to play the fool and to sort of fall on your sword like that. And that's a knight pun. But I think I'd be the Todd in our group, I guess. But no, I thought there was some really truly, like, Nimona, as I said, I think was the 90%. I think Todd definitely added a little bit more to that as well.
But you know what? He felt very cliche, like Todd's character, like that tough guy who's like, yeah, I know I'm better than everyone.
Yeah,
he's a bro.
He might as well have just been like a Chad.
Exactly, but like I think we can think of other movies where there has been that kind of archetypal character, right? But what was nice is that he definitely served a purpose, right? And I think as a reminder of that tradition being stuck, you know what I mean? Like just being so stuck in its ways, whereas everything else around him seems to be kind of reflecting change and wanting to see change. So I think that
dude, if he wanted to say Rhinoperous, he would have said Rhinoperous. So good, so freaking good. Yeah, I mean, talking about things that we're hearing in the movie, I think the soundtrack is also killer. It's such a it's one of those soundtracks that like I definitely want to, as soon as they can get it out onto the streaming, I definitely want to download it because it's just such a punk rock. Like the soundtrack is Nimona in audio form. Like it literally feels like that. And one of the tracks that I think I want to call out is it's called All Right by Sahara Hot Nights. And yeah, it's such a fun time. And I mean, I'm not one for sort of dabbling in the punk genre as much, but this movie definitely.
Well, there's an eclectic mix, right? Like, there was one song that I was like, I don't like. It was just it popped immediately when I heard it, and I think it's called "Girl Like" by Dope St. Jude, and I think that it was such a in your face track to kind of kick things off, and then you get into these like really diverse like punk, and then we get a metric song later, and I'm like that is wild. Like there's just a little bit of everything underneath, and I'm glad that we didn't like have like, you know, I Need a Hero, which has been so overplayed in movies or anything else. Like honestly, like there's some stuff that's just been recycled from movie to movie. I like that Nimona's soundtrack seems to find something that's a little unique while also pulling in some of the more popular stuff.
It's Nimona.
It's eclectic. It's different. Yeah.
I mean, we got Breaking the Law by Judas Priest at one point. Like, that was the last thing I was expecting to hear when going into this movie. So again, it was a delight to hear all the songs included and how it plays into the character of just that high energy, just in your face. She knows what she is and you just got to deal with it type thing. I loved it.
And I think overall, I think the story for me was probably both a huge positive, and then there's a little bit that I have for what didn't work. But I think just focusing on what did, like this story is so truthful. It's so authentic. Like you were saying, Justin, it's a story that needs to be out there, and it's absolutely amazing that we were able to get this movie, and it sucks the things that they had to go through to get to this point, but the fact that we've got a movie that is able to deliver this message in the way that it does on Netflix for kids is fantastic.
Well, for all audiences.
I was going to say,
for sure. For sure.
But the idea that, like, I look forward to the day that I can show this to my daughter, right? And have her see, a story that isn't necessarily perpetuating identity in a more traditional way, but in a way that feels more authentic to today. And to be clear, I wasn't talking about story before. I was talking about message, because I think the message is very strong. But I do think that the story is a little clunky in terms of how it's structured with getting us that message. I can appreciate the overall message that it's trying to say, but I think that this story as a negative for me is that it was a little too clunky towards the third act, and it rapidly gets to a close. I think it has a lot to do with a lot of people having their hands in this writing, and again, maybe where this 8-year process might have been a bit of an issue, and people coming in and dabbling, that I think towards the end there's just a moment that things just kind of really shift, and then suddenly we're rushed to the end. And I don't know, like that to me is the only negative to this entire movie that is a massive success and a huge positive, is that it just felt narratively clunky.
I can understand how that could be the case also, because I feel like they tackled so many different things in this movie, themes, I guess you could say, that were incredibly important. And as someone who just like was watching it to enjoy it, I felt it flowed well for me personally. Every single note that they were trying to touch on worked. Every message they were trying to send hit
it's there.
home.
It hits. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It was. I can understand though it being clunky because they were doing so much. There was a lot of
pacing,
LGBTQ plus. There was a lot of like mental health. There was a lot of societal and traditional issues that they were dealing with. It was very heavy on the amount of different messages they were sending. But I do think they successfully hit home with all of them in their own aspects. Whichever one you were connected with most, I'm sure that would have hit home with you most. Like for me watching it, the patriarchy stuff and the mental illness stuff really like that's
home.
what
Yeah.
I focused on. It hit home for me so much, and it was very influential. So I also just think it's crazy that this story was written 11 years ago.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago. We were not talking about this stuff 11 years ago. So like kudos to the writer. I'm sorry, the guy
Andy
who wrote
Stevenson.
To Andy Stevenson.
Andy
Yeah.
Stevenson. What an incredible mind, like to have that already
That
at the
foresight.
forefront of what you're writing is, I loved it. I have no negatives, but that's just me.
Well, I was just gonna say it'd be a matriarchy, not a patriarchy. I mean,
Thank you.
queens and stuff and ruling. Just yeah.
It's true.
Right. For sure. That makes sense. That makes sense. But again, I think the messaging, the layers of themes and messages that this movie has makes it relevant and makes it powerful. And to your point, Megan, everyone will connect with something from it because they will identify with something that is being tackled in this movie. And to your point, it tackles it all really well. I think the way the story is structured, though, is the problem. And again, it's not necessarily all the stuff. I actually think that it perfectly balanced all those plates. It didn't leave any of those plates to just fall and shatter. They were all beautifully stacked throughout this movie. And even towards the end, when we get this very heartfelt moment, it all hits. It all ties up in a nice little bow. But getting us there, how it moved us through, in some places it was very, very fun and energetic and fast, right? But then there was this sudden moment where just things shift. And I didn't understand the decision behind it. And I think it's just more of a structural issue and the clunkiness of where maybe some of these movies may struggle, where they might just try to rush to get to that conclusion and wrap things up.
And it's kind of tough to talk about that specific moment that I know, Justin, that you're talking about in that third act, because obviously we do want to stay spoiler free. But when you see it again, I think unfortunately, a lot of people will notice it. One thing that I want to just quickly clarify, though, like, again, I think the fact that animation is a medium, not a genre, it's a method for telling stories, is absolutely true. But I think the accessibility of animation for kids and this story being told in animation is what's so important, right? And that's the biggest thing.
Yes.
There's so many kids that are going to jump on Netflix, go over to the kids section, and the fact that we've got these stories being told there is so important and so wonderful. And I think that was story. That's what I wanted to just quickly clarify in terms of, because trust me, I'm a 35-year-old kid. Okay, I'm watching all these freaking animated movies.
Sure.
But no, I think just along the lines, Justin, I do think, there is a decision that is made by a character in the third act that just doesn't. It actually doesn't really make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Unfortunately. And it's one of those things that until I talked to you, Justin, about it afterwards, I was like, I didn't see it. And now I do. And maybe after we're done this podcast, we'll talk about it offline.
Yeah,
so
you
we
tell
kind of
us.
let you guys know, because you guys are like, there's nothing this movie did wrong. And if you feel that way, that's totally fine too.
That's fine.
Don't worry
And
about
honestly,
that.
again, it was just literally, for me to have such a noticeable, like, man, this is a great movie, and then up to that point, it shifted. I'm like, wait, hold on, what? Right? Like that's where it kind of changed for me, and it happened twice. But we'll see. I still think, though, that like everything about this movie, it's more of a success than it is anything else.
Yeah, I mean, if it's gonna take for all of us to give it a 5 out of 5 for you to go see it, sure, I will. I won't actually, but I will if it means that you'll watch this movie, because I think every single person,
everyone needs to watch it.
should watch this movie. Sorry, Darcy, go ahead.
Well, and it's just I feel like some of those issues with the story, Justin, may have come from the fact that they did do a lot of drastic changes from the source material. While I haven't read it myself, I have done some research, and it seems like the story told originally by Andy Steven in that comic format was very different and dealt with a lot more unique storylines and tropes, but it wouldn't really fit the message or the tone of this movie, which is meant to be for a younger audience. There's a whole poison plot line in the original story that might have been a bit too dark, and I understand why they went a different way, and that might be why that change comes about in a new way in this movie that might be a bit grating, I guess. So
right.
again, a lot of it is because the source material is so good. They wanted to adapt it in a fresh and unique way, and that can sometimes lead to missing the point or that build up to this character change.
And it could have been one of those decisions that potentially might have not been in their hands. Again, it's as we start to, and this is as we're starting to see more and more things going on with the writers' strike and different things happening around the world, unfortunately. But we're also, I think, a lot of us are learning about a lot of these true facts about the industry, and I think one of the things with this movie, and especially how, again, there was different people involved that unfortunately didn't. The movie died at one point, but I think the other aspect to it was different.
It's alive though. It's
different.
alive.
It's alive now.
So alive.
But certain decisions may have been made that might have limited their ability to, as you're saying, Darcy, explore some of those paths. I will say though, this movie, there is a pretty dark moment in this movie. It does get really dark, and it made me bawl my eyeballs out. Megan was given a couple of in the theater a few times.
Moved my chair. I was
absolutely.
crying so much.
But it is so important, I think, for everyone
Everybody.
to experience this story. So listen, we're just saying watch the movie at this point. So let's get to our final thoughts, which we're going to be rating this movie on a scale of 1 to 5 murders before breakfast tacos.
I mean, if this review didn't tell you, I loved the movie. Every single aspect of it was incredible. To me, the story, the messages it was sending, the character development, the commentary on our society, and things that we need to be talking about more in all ages. But then also on the art side of things, it was so beautiful. The color story of this movie, the shape language, Justin, you pointed out the pink of her character of Nimona was really bright when she was vibrant and excited and thrashing through things, but then really dull when she was going through something difficult and emotional. And then that also changed around her. There was a lot of contrast with greens and blues when her little pink was in the middle of the screen. So I just, as an artist, was blown away, but also as a fan of telling stories, was also blown away. I want to give this like a 10 out of 5, but I'm not going to do that. I will give this a 5 out of 5 murder before breakfast tacos.
There you go. 5 murders.
I did it.
5 murders before.
5 murders.
How many breakfast
before
tacos,
breakfast
though?
Tacos.
5 breakfast tacos?
Also
10.
5 breakfast tacos. 10 breakfast
10
tacos.
breakfast tacos.
5 murders, 10
breakfast tacos. Got it. Okay. Excellent. Darcy, you feeling hungry?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, again, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm a huge fan of animated stories. Adventure Time and Steven Universe are among the many shows that are designed for, or aimed towards children, but tell these incredible stories and messages. And I feel like this movie lives up to, like, right there with it in terms of an animated classic that is, again, aimed towards children, but is for all ages to enjoy, because there are so many rich themes and messages told in a beautifully elegant way. While I do agree that the story does, again, fumble a bit in the third act, that doesn't take away from the fact that these messages drive home and land so hard that coming out of it, like you said, there is easily something I could connect to, and I can understand all the other things that people might be drawn to for this movie. So for that, I'll be giving this one a strong 4.5 out of 5 murders before breakfast tacos.
Delicious. You're going to put like blood, you're just going to drip the blood
Buckets
as a
of
salsa.
blood. Yeah, just buckets of blood.
Delicious. I love it when she says murder and her eyes turn into flames.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Murder. So good.
Things were metal. Things
are metal.
So
well,
good.
you know what, Darcy? I'm totally with you. Nimona is totally metal, dude. This is a animated film that feels special and feels very personal. I think that, again, incredible job with the world building, incredible job with the character design. And I think it carries on the themes that N.D. Stevenson imbued in the original source material for an audience of all ages that is relevant in today's world. Outstanding performances from Chloe, Riz, and Eugene. I think they all intertwined. They all brought a sense of balance to the story, with Ballister being lacking confidence, Eugene having overconfidence and Chloe bringing this sense of mayhem and craziness to Nimona that just kind of brought the humor, the heart, and the honesty in a lot of ways. As I was mentioning before, I think parts of this movie are very, very confident in so many ways, in its messaging, in its themes, in its visual style, in the world building elements. But yes, it does suffer from narrative clunkiness. But outside of all of that, I think what I'm really just happy about with this movie is that, the path for this production, as we talked about, had so many challenges. And, to be here in this moment with this release through Netflix and Annapurna Studio, working to bring this movie to everyone, to audiences everywhere. This is the underdog narrative that adds a layer of inspiration, reminding us what determination looks like and the importance of telling stories that might go unheard. It's been a long journey, and I think it just adds a real layer of celebratory moment for Nimona. So a huge shout out to the entire animation studios behind this, the entire production team. They did such a great job. So I'm going to be giving this one as well 4.5 out of 5 murders before breakfast tacos. Did I get it right?
You got it right. Yeah. Let's break stuff. I think for myself, I think I'm definitely high on this movie, up there with you guys. It's one of those things where the movie, the like you were saying, Justin, the difficulties and struggles the movie goes through is in parallel with what Nimona goes through, and I think that's it's as upsetting as that all had to be that it happened. It's beautiful at the same time, and it's
exactly
wonderful that this movie. Yeah, this movie's out, and it's such a wonderful, beautiful message and story, and visually it's gorgeous. I think just as you're saying, the third act a little clunky, as we were talking about, but I also just think that it's one of those things where Nimona herself is also not perfect, and no one is, but she is absolutely unabashedly Nimona. So I'm going to be giving this movie 4 out of 5 breakfast tacos before murder before breakfast tacos.
You got it wrong, Nate.
Listen, okay, just call me Tadius, and we'll fly out of here on our floating hover horses. Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. And I love when Eugene does that line delivery of bro, like back, like
bro.
So good. So freaking good. Okay, this movie's great. But that is it. We hope you enjoyed this spoiler-free review for Nimona. And if you did, make sure to subscribe to us wherever you like to listen to podcasts. If you want to write into the show with your thoughts on this movie or any of the shows or movies we cover, well, let me just shape-shift into Justin to let you know how you can reach us.
Well, they can reach us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or they can reach out to us on Twitter at GeekcentricYT or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric.
Oh,
why was shifting back?
Why was Nate shifting so moist?
Justin
I just feel
sometimes.
like he would be. I just feel like he would, jellify
a little bit of
exactly.
I got a little cushion, I'm kind of like a rhinoceros or whatever he says.
Oh my god.
Keep in mind, we also have a ton of other great episodes covering the latest in movies, TV shows, including our recent spoiler-free reviews for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Wes Anderson's Asteroid City, Elemental, The Flash, and the first 2 episodes of Marvel Studios' Secret Invasion, which we've also got a ton of interviews. We got an interview, for instance, if you're into animated projects, the director of Elemental, Peter Sohn. Justin had the chance to sit down with him. Justin also sat down with a couple of folks from Marvel Studios' Secret Invasion, Kingsley Ben-Adir and Ali Salim. And we got even more Justin interviews with the cast, directors, and creator of Nimona, coming very soon. I had the chance to watch these interviews, and let me just tell you, there are also some 5 out of 5 murders before tacos. I'll tell you what. So I definitely.
I'm glad you gave him 5 out of 5s, not 4 out of 5s.
Yeah. Listen, I thought that the third act of each interview was great. But yeah, if you want to check out those interviews, you can definitely do so on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/geekcentric. But you can also listen to them on your podcast service of choice. Click subscribe if you haven't already on all the things. Leave a like, leave a 5-star review. And if you want to chat with us directly about this movie, or about, maybe during our weekly watch club of Secret Invasion, you want to share us your secrets, you can do so by hopping into the Discord. The link is in our podcast description. So please do. We'd love to chat with you. Love to know what you think. Yeah. Megan, Justin, Darcy, thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. And as we say, love ya.
Laters.
Bye.
Peace, bro.